Hi, welcome to Digging to China. I'm Dong Sheng. On September 14th, marking the 70th anniversary of the establishment of China's National People's Congress, NPC, Xinhua News Agency reported on the Communist Party's celebrations. According to the report, Xi Jinping hailed the NPC as the significant innovation in global political system. He stated that the People's Congress system, under the leadership of the Chinese Communist Party, is the result of the Chinese people's arduous exploration and long struggle. It is a new political system rooted in China's unique circumstances and stands as a major milestone in the history of political systems. Xi noted that the establishment of the system brought an end to the era where political power was concentrated in the hands of a few while the majority were oppressed and exploited. It marked a historical leap, enabling the Communist Party to lead the people in becoming the true masters of the country, and signified a major transformation in China's political structure. He stressed the importance of strengthening confidence in the path, theory, system, and culture, advancing a fully participatory people's democracy, and ensuring the People's Congress system is well maintained, improved, and effectively operated. This, he said, would provide a robust institutional foundation for achieving the party's and the people's goals in the new era and along the new journey. Regarding the Chinese Communist Party's celebration of the 70th anniversary of the People's Congress system and Xi Jinping's speech, I'd like to share the following thoughts. First, the fundamental political system of every country is defined by its constitution, at least in countries that have one. China's People's Congress system is enshrined in its constitution, and praising such a core political system is not excessive unless the constitution itself changes. This is simply an objective reality. Whether we like or dislike the People's Congress system, it remains the fundamental political structure of China. Second, China's National People's Congress (NPC) is commonly regarded as a rubber stamp, which is often seen as a defining feature of the country's political system. What does it mean to be a rubber stamp? On the surface, it carries an air of importance and authority. However, being a rubber stamp, it lacks genuine power or influence, functioning more like a symbolic seal rather than a real one. This is how the international community typically views NPC. In political science, the term rubber stamp has a precise definition. While many see it as a symbol with no real authority, in political terms, it refers to individuals or institutions that, in theory, possess significant legal power, but in reality hold very little. Their role is purely executive. It's referring to as the stamp because it carries out the decision of the highest authority, acting as a proxy without independent power. However, such an institution is still necessary to maintain the appearance of procedural legitimacy. A notable feature of a rubber stamp is its inability to reject proposals. It simply does not have the power to veto what has been approved. This is exemplified by China's National People's Congress, where the NPC cannot veto any proposals put forward by the Communist Party. For example, a prominent antique collector and a former NPC delegate once proudly stated in an interview that during his many years as a delegate, he never cast a dissenting vote. Thus, the NPC serves as a rubber stamp. Although it is a necessary institution for finalizing laws, it holds no real authority. The NPC's role is largely symbolic. It must be involved in the process, but it cannot truly influence or make decisions. Its primary function is to uphold procedural legitimacy while lacking substantive power. Third, Xi Jinping characterizes China's People's Congress system as a form of whole process democracy, presenting it as a sophisticated form of democracy. One of Xi's notable characteristics is his ability to speak untruthfully with a straight face and a steady heart. Despite this, the NPC is widely acknowledged internationally as a rubber stamp, contradicting the notion of genuine democracy. To highlight the hypocrisy of the Communist Party's so-called whole process democracy, let me give you an example. This excerpt is from a Xinhua news report. On March 14, 2010 at 9:12 a.m., the 2,909 delegates present at the closing session of the third plenary meeting of the 11th National People's Congress cast their votes to approve an amendment to the electoral law. This decision marked the first instance of equal voting rights for urban and rural residents in China. Since 1953, the ratio of the population represented by each rural versus urban NPC delegate in China has changed from 8:1 to 4:1, with the saying 4 farmers equal 1 city dweller often used to illustrate this disparity. The newly revised electoral law now established this ratio to 1:1 for the first time. According to the law, the allocation of NPC delegate seats is determined by the NPC Standing Committee based on the population of each province, autonomous region, and municipality. This process ensures that each delegate represents an equal number of urban and rural residents, while also providing adequate representation for different regions, ethnic groups, and sectors. Wang Lei, a professor at the Peking University Law School, remarked, "A fundamental principle of the electoral law is the equality of voting rights. But this equality should be considered in the context of historical conditions. The former 8:1 ratio was appropriate at the time, while the new 1:1 ratio reflects the current reality." The 8:1 ratio, representing the distribution of delegated seats between rural and urban areas, has surprised many people in China, as this discrepancy was not widely known. Before 2010, it took 4 rural residents to match the representation of 1 urban resident, which was quite unusual. Disparity between urban and rural areas are reflected in education, healthcare, and pension, and many people in China have seemingly grown accustomed to and accepted these inequalities. In a rubber stamp system like the NPC, rural votes carry significantly less weight. Historically, this situation is even more unfavorable than the 3/5 compromise in the United States, which was a provision in the US Constitution before the Civil War. This compromise counted enslaved black individuals as 3/5 of a person for purpose of representation and taxation, highlighting a profound inequality in political representation and human rights. In China, the disparity in representation is even starker. Before the recent electoral reforms, the ratio was 4:1, meaning that 1 urban delegate represented the equivalent of 4 rural delegates. This was effectively a recognition of rural voters as just 1/4 of their urban counterparts in terms of political representation. With the previous 8:1 ratio, it was even more extreme, equating rural votes to just 1/8 of urban votes. This stark imbalance reflects a broader issue of inequality in China, where rural areas often face significant disparities in education, healthcare, and other essential services. Such discrepancies highlight a profound issue in human rights and political representation, illustrating how deeply entrenched inequalities can undermine the principles of fair and equal representation. It wasn't until 2010 that the rural residents achieved equal representation with urban residents in symbolic elections. This hardly qualifies as Xi Jinping's so-called great innovation in human political systems. Although it may be seen as a noteworthy accomplishment for the Communist Party, it does not stand out as a revolutionary development in global political systems. Rather, it underscores political corruption and reflects a backward political system. The so-called whole process democracy essentially means that the people do not genuinely participate in the democratic process, but merely watch from the sidelines. Regardless of whether the ratio is 8:1 or 4:1, the real decision-making power is not in the hands of the people. Decisions are made by the party, and the public's role remains limited to being passive observers. Fourth, Xi Jinping's repeated emphasis on the NPC system and the need for confidence in it actually highlights his anxiety and the lack of self-assurance. Why does the NPC system reveal Xi Jinping's insecurity? Recently, the Communist Party has established 4 red lines, one of which pertains to the political system. As I have previously discussed in the video, these red lines signify areas that cannot be altered, reflecting the party's deepest fears and concerns about change. The very fact that these issues are considered red lines indicate a lack of confidence. By placing the political system among these red lines, Xi Jinping demonstrates his significant apprehension. His calls for confidence in the system thus seem contradictory given his own evident uncertainties. If Xi Jinping truly had confidence in his path and the system, he wouldn't be concerned about others' opinions. For example, he is confident that no one can change his name. He doesn't worry about that. His insecurity, however, lies in his role as the people's leader. Xi Jinping desires to be regarded with the same reverence as Mao Zedong. But unlike Mao, he is not commonly called a people's leader by the public, only by party media. From this angle, his constant calls for self-confidence and his insistence on being seen as the people's leader are more about self-assurance than true confidence. The People's Congress as a constitutional and fundamental political system should not be affected by issues of confidence or lack of confidence. Regardless of personal feelings, adherence to the system is required. However, Xi Jinping's treatment of this constitutionally mandated political system as a matter of psychological confidence suggests his own uncertainties. It indicates that he is not fully assured about the stability of this fundamental political system and is apprehensive about the potential changes or challenges to it. In the United States, there is no emphasis on confidence in the system because the Constitution stands as the fundamental law. Americans generally don't worry about the nature of their political system. They simply follow the Constitution and amend it when necessary. In China, however, the constitutionally established political system has become a point of contention, requiring constant defense and reassurance against criticism. This indicates that the system is approached as a matter of political emotion and psychological security. This attitude suggests that Xi Jinping himself may not fully respect the Constitution despite being its enforcer. You might find it noteworthy that the international community rarely challenges Xi Jinping's notion of a whole process democracy. In the context of global political discourse, this concept is widely regarded as a form of rubber stamp democracy, essentially a superficial display of democratic processes with little real impact on the lives of the Chinese people. This type of democracy is viewed as more of a symbolic gesture than a genuine exercise in democratic engagement. Many in the international community consider it so fundamentally flawed and insubstantial that it hardly merits serious criticism. Thank you so much for watching. If you find this video helpful, please like it, drop a comment below, and hit the subscribe button right here. It really helps YouTube suggest my video to others. I'll be back with more content soon. Until then, stay well.